The U.S. military says 2 American soldiers from the Iowa National Guard and an interpreter were killed in a deadly attack in Syria. President Donald Trump says the U.S. will respond.
An ambush, terrible. We also have 3 wounded. They seem to be doing pretty well. But we mourn the loss. These are 3 great people. And it's just a terrible thing. Syria, by the way, was fighting along with us. The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and I'm not surprised, he's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria. We will retaliate. Thank you very much.
3 other service members were wounded by the lone ISIS attacker who has reportedly been killed. The attack comes barely a month after Syria announced it had signed a political cooperation agreement with the United States. And Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley took to social media to express the heartbreak him and his wife are feeling after the 2 Iowa National Guard soldiers were killed. Grassley thanked them for their service and said he's sending prayers to their families. With me now is retired Major General David Fraser, CTV military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Lauren, good to be with you.
So what might a U.S. response look like following this attack?
Well, right now, I mean, the intelligence community in the United States is going full bore right now, trying to find a target to go after against ISIS. And, as the president is very clear, he's very comfortable about using force now. And he said there's going to be retaliation against ISIS. So we should expect to see a target attacked in the next days to retaliate against the death of these 3 individuals.
In the backdrop of all this, we know that many American troops remain in Syria. How does this ambush affect their safety currently and, operations moving forward here?
Well, it's an excellent question because, in the recent couple of weeks, the president has been very vocal about what he thinks about other countries in the world, his national security strategy, what he said about Somalia, and, with this happening in Syria. If Syria didn't have the political agreement and the relationship that, he has with the president, I think it would be a lot worse for Syrians. But the fact is they have a relationship, they have an agreement, and the fact that the Syrian president was devastated by this might mitigate the effect against the country. But ISIS is going to be thumped pretty hard by the Americans.
The investigation into this incident, of course, is ongoing. But does this raise questions about intelligence gaps or warning signs that may have been missed leading up to this?
Well, I think it's really hard because, in one sense, one of the reports was that the attacker was actually part of the Syrian forces who had been radicalized by ISIS. And, things like this are going to happen, unfortunately. You can't stop the radicalization. It just happens and it's all around us. But I think it speaks to the bigger relationship that, the United States has with local nations, that, if they have a good relationship, they can work their way through it. But this is the risk that soldiers have to face around the world, anywhere on these types of missions, is a local individual that has been radicalized.
This does bring into question whether ISIS can ultimately be defeated. Can Syria's current leadership under al-Shara effectively combat ISIS, given his government's, recent rise to power and his militant past?
Well, again, you cannot destroy a terrorist organization, an ideology. Look at Hamas and the difficulty there. Hezbollah, ISIS, they will continue to exist. Their ideology will exist because it's disenfranchised people, and they take advantage of people who are under pain and suffering to carry on their ideas and their beliefs and whatnot. So terrorism is one of those insidious types of cancers that's very hard to eradicate. You just have to keep constantly at it. And ISIS has continually shown its ability to survive even after significant attacks and events, what the United States have done against OBL. But it's still there. And unfortunately, we're just going to have to keep rooting it out every day.
Okay, we will continue to follow this closely. Thank you so much for your time this morning. That is retired Major General David Fraser, CTV military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan.